Hello friends. Welcome back to the channel. Here, we explore powerful ideas, real stories, and practical habits that can completely change the way you think and live. Every video here is designed to help you grow stronger mentally, build confidence, and take control of your life one step at a time. Today's story is about a girl named Natasha, and her journey will remind you that even the smallest decision can begin a powerful transformation. Natasha looked confident from the outside, but inside she constantly felt one step behind everyone else. She had ideas, dreams, and goals, yet something always stopped her from acting on them. Every time an opportunity appeared, self-doubt quietly told her she was not ready. But one evening something happened that forced Natasha to face the truth about herself. It was a moment that made her realize she had been holding herself back for years. That single realization pushed her to start a small daily habit that slowly changed the way she thought, spoke, and lived. What happened next proves that confidence is not something people are born with. It is something they build. The confidence Natasha never showed. Natasha had always been a thoughtful and intelligent person. She paid attention to details, noticed solutions others often missed, and had creative ideas during discussions. The problem was that those ideas rarely left her mind. Instead of sharing them, she stayed quiet and allowed the moment to pass. At school and later at work, she watched others speak with certainty while she sat silently, convincing herself that her thoughts were probably not good enough. Even when she prepared something in advance, the moment people started talking confidently, she felt her courage disappear. Gradually, this silence became part of her personality. People around her started assuming that Natasha simply preferred listening instead of speaking. What they did not know was that inside her mind, she was constantly debating whether she should say something. Social media made things even harder. Every day she saw people celebrating achievements, sharing progress, and confidently expressing their opinions. Natasha started comparing herself with them, believing everyone else had clarity and courage that she somehow lacked. With every comparison, her confidence shrank a little more. She stopped volunteering for opportunities and avoided situations where she might have to speak up. Deep down she knew she was capable of more, yet fear continued to control her decisions. Then one evening something happened that shook her more than any criticism ever could. During a team discussion, a colleague presented an idea that sounded extremely familiar. Natasha felt a sudden wave of realization because she had thought about the exact same solution 2 days earlier. She had even written it down in her notebook but never mentioned it. As the room filled with appreciation for that idea, Natasha sat quietly, staring at the table. It was not jealousy she felt in that moment. It was regret. For the first time, Natasha understood that her biggest limitation was not a lack of intelligence or creativity. The real obstacle was the fear that kept her silent. That night she returned home with a heavy mind, replaying the moment again and again. Instead of distracting herself like she usually did, she sat down and asked herself a question she had avoided for years. What if the problem was not the world around her, but the habits she had built inside her mind? And that question became the beginning of a decision that would soon change the direction of her life. The decision that changed Natasha's direction. That night Natasha could not stop thinking about the meeting. The moment kept repeating in her mind, and each time she felt the same frustration. She realized that the real pain was not losing an opportunity. The real pain was knowing she had stayed silent again. For the first time, she decided to look at the situation honestly. Natasha understood that waiting for confidence to appear someday was not going to change anything. If she kept avoiding small chances to speak or act, nothing in her life would move forward. Instead of blaming herself, she decided to try something simple. Natasha made a small promise that starting the next day she would take one small confident action every day. It did not need to be a big step. It only needed to be something that pushed her slightly outside her comfort zone. The next morning, she began with something very simple. During a discussion at work, Natasha shared a small suggestion even though her voice felt slightly nervous. It was not a perfect statement, but she said it anyway. To her surprise, the reaction from others was completely normal. That moment gave her a small sense of relief. The fear she had imagined for so long did not appear the way she expected. People listened, nodded, and continued the conversation without any judgment. Encouraged by this experience, Natasha continued practicing the same habit each day. Some days she asked a question during meetings. Other days she shared an idea, volunteered for a small responsibility, or expressed her opinion in conversations. Each action was small, but every step slowly weakened the fear that had controlled her for years. Instead of waiting for confidence, she started building it through action. Within a few weeks, Natasha noticed something interesting. Speaking up no longer felt as difficult as it once did. The nervousness was still present, but it was no longer strong enough to stop her. For the first time in a long time, Natasha felt a quiet sense of progress. She realized that confidence was not a personality trait people are born with. It is a skill that grows every time someone chooses courage over comfort. When small actions started changing everything. As the weeks passed, Natasha continued following the simple habit she had promised herself. Every day she looked for one moment where she could take a small confident action. Sometimes it meant sharing an idea in a meeting. Other times it meant starting a conversation instead of waiting quietly. At first the changes were subtle, but they slowly became noticeable. Natasha began speaking more clearly and expressing her thoughts without overthinking every word. The fear that once controlled her reactions started losing its power. People around her also began noticing the difference. Her colleagues started asking for her opinion during discussions because they realized she often had thoughtful insights. For the first time, Natasha felt that her voice was being heard and valued. This recognition gave her even more motivation to continue improving. Instead of avoiding responsibilities, she began volunteering for small tasks and presentations. Each experience strengthened her confidence and helped her trust her own abilities. One day Natasha found herself leading a short discussion during a team meeting. As she explained her ideas calmly, she suddenly remembered the girl who once sat silently in the same room. The difference between those two moments felt almost unbelievable. What Natasha realized in that moment was powerful. Confidence had not appeared suddenly. It had been built slowly through dozens of small actions that once felt uncomfortable. Every time she chose courage instead of silence, she was shaping a stronger version of herself. And that consistent effort was beginning to transform the way she saw her own potential. The person Natasha became. Months passed, and the small habit Natasha started began shaping a completely different version of her life. The same situations that once made her nervous now felt like opportunities to grow. Speaking in meetings, sharing ideas, and taking initiative slowly became natural for her. One day during a project presentation, Natasha confidently explained a solution her team had developed. This time she was not sitting quietly in the background. She was leading the discussion, answering questions, and guiding the conversation with calm clarity. As the presentation ended, several colleagues appreciated her clear thinking and confident delivery. Natasha smiled, but the real victory was something deeper. She realized she was no longer the person who stayed silent because of fear. Looking back, Natasha understood that the transformation did not come from a dramatic event. It came from a simple daily habit of choosing courage in small moments. Those small decisions slowly built the confidence she once believed she could never have. Her journey proved an important truth. Confidence does not belong to a special group of people. It belongs to anyone willing to practice courage again and again until fear stops controlling their choices. And if Natasha could rebuild her confidence step by step, anyone listening to this story can begin the same journey today. Natasha's story reminds us that transformation rarely begins with a huge moment. It usually begins with a small decision that most people ignore. A single action, repeated daily, can slowly reshape the way you think, speak, and live. Confidence is not reserved for a few lucky people. It is built through courage practiced in small moments. Every time you choose to speak, try, or step forward despite fear, you are strengthening the person you are becoming. So, if you ever feel like you are falling behind or doubting your potential, remember Natasha's journey. Your transformation might not start with a big change. It might start with one small decision today. If this story inspired you, make sure to like the video so more people can discover it. Comment below and share one small habit you want to start building today. Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that confidence can be built step by step. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next story. The next video might change the way you see yourself. Thank you for watching and spending your time here. Your journey of growth is just getting started, and I will see you in the next video.